Most times, I don't want to stress about reinventing the technique wheel. I just want to sit down and enjoy creating. Can anyone else relate? So this often looks like revisiting oldie but goodie techniques. So today, I'm breaking out my alcohol inks that I absolutely love, dusting off an old supply that has some really magical results. Let's get into it. I'm going to be using some Yupo paper today, but you can use craft plastic paper or any other brand of synthetic paper that you might have on hand. I'm going to be using Ranger ink today, and the first color I'm laying down is Monsoon, then a little bit of Glacier, Sailboat Blue, Aquamarine, and then the last color is Cloudy Blue. Now it's time to put a generous amount of isopropyl alcohol all over the color. I'm going to use a Tim Holtz blower tool to move around the color a little bit, and then I'm going to switch to a small hairdryer to dry it in place. I'm not 100% happy with how the background turned out, but that's okay because we aren't using it as is. We're actually going to be taking some stamps and that old supply I mentioned in the beginning of the video to create a whole new look. I placed my background into my MISTI. I'm going to be using one of the brand new stamps from Tim Holtz, but I really want to encourage you to use what you have on hand because this technique will be perfect for so many stamps you already have in your stash. I am going to place my stamp on my background, making sure it covers each of the colors. I'm going to close my MISTI and pick up the stamp, and I like to use a stamp bendable tool to help get even pressure and make sure that stamp is on the lid. Now I'm going to ink up my stamp with the alcohol lift ink, and this ink is clear and it is formulated to pick up alcohol ink and transfer it to the stamp. I'm going to close my MISTI and apply even pressure to make sure that I am getting all of the alcohol ink onto the stamp. As I open the MISTI, you could sort of see where the stamped image is, and for now I'm going to set this panel aside so I can quickly stamp the image onto a new piece of paper. I'm going to be using alcohol ink cardstock. I'm going to close my MISTI and take the Stampendable tool to make sure that I get a good impression onto my cardstock. Alright, here's the reveal. Isn't it magical? Well, I'm not done just yet because I'm going to take this panel to the next level with a few simple techniques, but first I want to show you how you can continue to get use out of that one panel. I am going to wipe up the excess lift ink that's on the panel and then add some isopropyl alcohol to get the color moving around again. I do want to add a little bit more cloudy blue, so I'm going to add that to the bottom of the card panel. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz blower tool to move the color around a little bit and then dry it in place again. I'm going to ink up the stamp and close my MISTI so that I can lift up more of that alcohol ink. And now I'm going to stamp the transferred ink onto a new piece of alcohol ink cardstock. And you can repeat this process as many times as you want. This actually would be a really good holiday card idea. Now it's time to take these stamped images to the next level with a go-to technique to add more texture. I'm going to add some alcohol ink to a palette, or you can use any non-porous surface you want. Using the paintbrush, I pick up some of the ink and then I'm going to start splattering the ink onto the background. I'm going to be adding splatters in all the colors that I used to stamp with, and I feel this adds more movement to the image. And yes, most times I do go overboard with the splatters, but if you like less, then do less. Because these are Christmas cards, I want to add a bit of shine. I'm going to be using an alloy alcohol ink in sterling, and yes, I'm going to be adding even more splatters. You have to add a tiny drop of blending solution into the alloy and mix it together so the ink will set. Or you can seal the panel with a spray sealant. Now it's time to assemble the cards. I cut the stamped panels down, and I'm going to back them with this metallic craft stock from Tim Holtz. I'm also going to be using this gray two-tone wood grain paper from Tim Holtz. This is going to add another texture to the card. I add some double-sided adhesive to each of the layers, and then I'm going to start adhering them together. I am going to finish both cards the same by adding a stamped sentiment. And if you're finding yourself inspired and wanting to create even more with your alcohol inks, be sure to grab the free PDF in the description box and check out this short playlist where I share all of my favorite alcohol ink tips and techniques to help you get creating with confidence. I'll see you there.